A war of words turning into a full-blown feud between two of the biggest names in rap, Kendrick Lamar and Drake.
I think from day one was to always keep the nature of it as a sport.
Welcome back to StarHush, where we break down the drama like no one else. Okay, so word on the street is that Drake and Kendrick Lamar might actually be looking to squash their heated feud after the Grammys. And get this, people are saying that Drake finally swallowed his pride and reached out to Kendrick to settle things. Sounds wild, right? But honestly, after everything that's gone down in the past few days, it's not that surprising. Drake has been fighting for his reputation ever since Kendrick hit him with those back-to-back diss tracks, They Not Like Us and Squabble Up. And let's be real, he's been on a downward spiral ever since. He's tried everything, from ranting about Spotify to even suing his own record label, claiming they were setting him up for failure. The man has been doing the absolute most. So what's changed all of a sudden? Why is Drake now trying to call a truce with Kendrick? It's giving desperation vibes, and you already know he's up to something. Let's break it down. One thing's for sure, Drake probably regrets ever getting into this beef, because these past few months have not been kind to him. Yeah, he's got his diehard fans who will defend him no matter what. But let's keep it real. Most people are siding with Kendrick. And if this whole situation has proven anything, it's that even other celebs are backing Kendrick too. I mean, remember when Serena Williams hit the Crip Walk while vibing to They Not Like Us at the awards show last year? That was a statement.
And if I've learned anything this year, it's that none of us, not a single one of us, not even me, should ever pick a fight with Kendrick Lamar. He will make your hometown not like you. The next time Drake sits courtside at a Raptors game, they're gonna Forrest Gump him. Sight's taken.
But that's not even the half of it, because Metro Boomin and Future also backed Kendrick during this whole mess. Metro Boomin straight up accused Drake of playing dirty and trying to sabotage his success. He even aired out receipts, tweeting, "I'm lame, but the first week after like that, you tried to block that radio. I've been sitting on this email for a month now, but it was just sparing you. Oh, you ain't like that record?" And just when people thought that was it, Metro hinted that he had even more explosive tea on Drake. Now go make another song, tell them more lies, cause we both know you can't tell everyone why I don't rock with you. That wouldn't be a good look either for you, so I'ma spare us both with that. And let's not forget, this is the same Metro Boomin who started the whole BBL Drizzy trend that had the internet going crazy. And if that wasn't enough, Rick Ross jumped in and made it clear he was siding with Kendrick too. But to be fair, Drake dragged Ross into the beef first, completely unprovoked. In his diss track Push-Ups, Drake took shots at Ross, rapping, "I'ma take your latest girl and cuff her like I'm Ricky. Can't believe he jumping in this ninja turning 50. Every song that made it on the chart, he got from Drizzy. Spend that little check, you gotta stay out of my business." He really tried to humble Ross just because he was featured on Metro Boomin's album. And let's be real, Ross wasn't about to take that disrespect. Ross fired back with his own diss track, Champagne Moments, where he exposed Drake for using a ghostwriter. But he didn't stop there. He also called Drake out for being weak, rapping, "Get bullied, don't walk up on me cause the clip is fully. Ninjas they don't wanna push me." I'm like, really? Woody? Drake thought he was calling the shots, but Ross sent a clear message that he wasn't one to play with. Rick Ross didn't hold back. He even went at Drake's past, rapping, "Like his moves, but he never had to fight in school. Always ran. Another ninja had to write joke rules. Flow is copy and paste. Wheezy gave you the juice. Another white boy at the park. Wanna hang with the crew." But that wasn't all. Ross also called out the rumors about Drake getting work done. People have been throwing around the whole BBL Drizzy joke for a minute, but Ross put it in a track saying, "Yeah, you had that surgery. That six-pack gone. That's why you're wearing that funny in-shape fit. You can't hide it, ninja. White boy." So yeah, Drake has a lot of industry enemies, but nobody realized just how bad it was until now. People assumed he had a solid lineup of allies, but that all changed when Kendrick not only swept up 5 major Grammys, but got one of the loudest crowd reactions of the night. And did you hear how loud the audience screamed a minor when Kendrick stepped on stage to accept his award? That had to cut deep for Drake. The industry was making it loud and clear. Kendrick had the people behind him. And just when folks thought it couldn't get worse for Drake, even Beyonce was seen vibing to They Not Like Us. That says a lot, because Beyonce usually stays out of this kind of mess. But there she was, smiling big and dancing like she was feeling every second of it. And she wasn't even the one going the hardest. Did y'all see Taylor Swift? She was on the side, really trying to hit a crip walk like she wanted in on the action. The worst part of the night? Drake realizing his own team had flipped on him. You'd think that with all the money he brings in, his label, Universal Music Group, would be in his corner, right? Especially the CEO, Lucian Grange. But when Kendrick won Song of the Year, Lucian was right there high-fiving Dr. Dre, celebrating like he just won too. It wasn't even subtle. They were clearly happy about Kendrick's win. And if the head of Drake's own label was celebrating the success of his biggest rival, that meant one thing. The industry had already chosen sides. So why would his own label turn against him and back Kendrick? Simple. Drake went to war with them. Drake sued Universal Music Group after Kendrick was announced as the Super Bowl halftime headliner, and that lawsuit sent shockwaves through the industry. Drake was convinced there was a conspiracy against him, so he started firing off lawsuits at anyone he thought played a role. His legal filings accused UMG and Spotify of manipulating streaming numbers, claiming they artificially inflated They Not Like Us to make it seem like a bigger cultural moment than it actually was. In Drake's mind, this wasn't just industry politics. This was a full-scale takedown, a plot to destroy him while lifting up Kendrick. But instead of exposing a conspiracy, his lawsuits made him look even worse. The industry didn't hesitate to turn on him, and social media went wild dragging him for filth. People were saying the lawsuit only proved what Kendrick had been saying all along, that Drake was out of touch, desperate, and scrambling for control. His critics saw this as a pathetic last-ditch effort to fix his image after losing the battle. And if that wasn't bad enough, Kendrick's infamous colonizer insult started hitting even harder. Fans were now using it as yet another way to clown Drake, this time for trying to sue his way out of an L. The backlash was brutal. Drake was getting labeled a Karen for running to the courts instead of handling business like a real rap legend. What started as Twitter slander quickly turned into something far more serious, because this lawsuit wasn't just a petty move. It was exposing the cracks in a partnership that once looked unbreakable.
Sort of legal action. But here's the thing. The person who has the real defamation case in this situation is Kendrick's woman. Because Drake not only said Kendrick was beating on her, he said that Dave Free, Kendrick's business partner and friend, was the real father to one of Kendrick's kids. So if you're going to accuse somebody of defamation, you must first make sure you too aren't guilty of defamation, okay? Drake saying that Kendrick defamed him is indeed the pot calling the kettle beige, but that's not even why I'm giving him Donkey of the Day. Okay, I'm giving him Donkey of the Day because Drake is proving without a shadow of a doubt that he simply doesn't understand culture.
For years, UMG had been Drake's biggest shield, allegedly pulling strings to protect him from scandals that could have ended his career. But this wasn't just about music. This was about power, influence, and control. Back in 2021, UMG handed Drake a jaw-dropping $500 million deal, an unheard of amount in hip-hop. That kind of money wasn't just an investment, it was a statement. It proved Drake was operating on a level far above the rest of the industry. And it wasn't just about the check. UMG's CEO, Lucian Grange, made it clear Drake had a blank check whenever he wanted. The label treated him like hip-hop royalty, making sure his spot at the top stayed untouched. But now, that loyalty was cracking. By suing the very company that had made him untouchable, Drake wasn't just biting the hand that fed him, he was risking the entire empire they built together. And suddenly, people started wondering, was this just the beginning? Had Drake and UMG finally reached a breaking point, or was something even bigger bubbling under the surface? And here's where things get real messy. Remember that lawsuit producer Lil Rod filed against Diddy back in February? What a lot of people missed in the original filing was that it didn't just name Diddy. Lucian Grange and UMG were also listed as co-defendants. That's right, the same UMG that had been protecting Drake for years was now being dragged into the drama. According to Lil Rod, Lucian wasn't just some industry executive minding his business. He was allegedly deep in the mix. Lil Rod's lawsuit didn't just accuse Diddy, It also claimed Lucian Grange had direct involvement in financing and enabling Diddy's shady activities. And now, with Drake, the label's biggest star, suing UMG, things were starting to look real suspicious. What was once an unbreakable alliance between Drake and UMG was now falling apart, and the fallout could shake up the entire industry. If Lil Rod's claims are true, then Drake's lawsuit might not just be about streaming numbers anymore. It could be a sign that the whole house of cards is starting to collapse. And then came one of the biggest bombshells in Lil Rod's lawsuit. Mr. Jones recalls defendant Grange visiting Mr. Combs' home in Miami, Florida, and Los Angeles, California. According to Mr. Jones, whenever defendant Grange visited Mr. Combs at his home, it would be in the evening, and he and Mr. Combs would disappear for hours in Mr. Combs' bedroom. Now, what exactly were Diddy and Lucian doing locked away for hours at a time? That's the million-dollar question. And with all these lawsuits flying around, it might not be long before we find out. Lil Rod didn't hold back, claiming that Lucian wasn't just a bystander. He allegedly helped facilitate and cover up Diddy's underground network. And according to the lawsuit, Lucian wasn't just turning a blind eye, he was an active player, funding Diddy with massive amounts of cash that helped keep his empire running. And here's where things get even messier, because back in 2024, Lucian Grange and UMG were officially removed from the lawsuit. Now, considering Lucian is one of the most powerful figures in the industry, that move wasn't exactly shocking. Lucian Grange's legal team wasn't about to let him go down without a fight. And with the level of power and influence he holds, it was almost expected that he'd be shielded from any real consequences. But just because the lawsuit was dismissed doesn't mean the questions went away. If anything, it made people even more suspicious. Instead of clearing Lucian's name, the situation just added another layer of mess to the already chaotic drama surrounding UMG. Just when Lucian and UMG thought they had escaped the fallout from Lil Rod's lawsuit, things took a turn for the worse. Kendrick's beef with Drake kept getting uglier, and Kendrick started dropping hints that he might pull skeletons out of the industry's closet. And you better believe UMG was watching closely, because the last thing Lucian needed was to get dragged into another scandal, especially after barely dodging the Diddy drama. But with Drake stirring the pot again by filing legal petitions against UMG, people started wondering, is he playing a dangerous game? UMG had already warned him before he started throwing around accusations about payola and industry manipulation. If you rewind back to August, Drake dropped a massive 100 gigabyte leak packed with unreleased music and content. UMG wasn't having it. They clapped back immediately, copyright striking him so fast that 3 of the leaked songs were yanked off his official site almost instantly. This wasn't just a slap on the wrist, it was a very clear warning. But Drake? He wasn't about to take that quietly. Instead of handling it behind closed doors, he took it straight to his fans, airing it out like a messy group chat receipt, posting a screenshot of the takedown notice for everyone to see. At this point, the tension between Drake and UMG wasn't just industry gossip anymore. It was out in the open for everyone to see, and instead of backing off, Drake doubled down. Now he's knee-deep in drama with UMG, and fans are already speculating on how bad this could get. Some are even saying UMG might flip the script and start exposing Drake's skeletons. And let's be real for a second, Drake's name has been tied to some very shady rumors over the years, especially when it comes to OVO. Now remember Kendrick's bars on Meet the Grahams? He wasn't just throwing shots, he was launching missiles. He called out the dark side of the industry, exposing how certain artists use their homes to record and leak compromising videos to control narratives. And then he took it a step further, hinting that Drake's mansion might be next in line for a raid, just like what happened to Diddy. And if that wasn't enough, Kendrick turned the heat all the way up on Not Like Us, straight up calling OVO certified PDF files. Drake didn't let that slide. He clapped back on The Heart Part 6, trying to shut down the accusations. He claimed he was too famous to be a PDF file, saying if any of it were true, he'd already be locked up. But at this point, the damage was already done, and the industry was watching his every move. Let's be real, was that even a real defense? Instead of just saying, "No, I didn't do it," Drake hit back with a weak argument that only made people more suspicious. Because history has shown that rich and powerful men can get away with almost anything for years before they ever face real consequences. if they faced them at all. So instead of shutting down the rumors, Drake's response just made the conversation louder. And now, it's not dying down, it's getting bigger. Lucian Grange might have slipped out of Lil Rod's lawsuit and quietly distanced himself from his longtime friendship with Diddy, but thanks to Drake, he's back in the spotlight, and not in a good way. And let's just say, Lucian is pissed. Sources close to Lucian and UMG are saying Drake has no idea the kind of storm he just kicked up, because UMG isn't just disappointed, they're furious. Drake, of all people, turning against them after everything they'd done for him. They stood by him through thick and thin, cleaned up more than a few messy situations on his behalf, and handed him one of the biggest deals in music history. And now this is how he repays them? It's important to understand, UMG isn't just any record label. It's one of the biggest and most powerful in the world. Crossing them isn't just a risky move, it's a full-blown betrayal. Drake's legal action isn't just bad PR for UMG, it's personal. And this is the same label that made him untouchable, pumped hundreds of millions of dollars into his career, and gave him perks that most artists could only dream of. Now that relationship is hanging by a thread. And the fallout could be way worse than Drake realizes, especially with Lucian publicly celebrating Kendrick's wins like he's already picked a side. Now this is where things start to spiral out of control. Insiders are now whispering that UMG may have pulled some strings to boost Drake's numbers on streaming platforms. But the irony? Drake is now accusing UMG of using those same tactics to push Kendrick's diss track, They Not Like Us. If there's any truth to these claims, both Drake and UMG could be in serious trouble. Because if the industry decides to flip the script, this could backfire on everyone involved. You'd think Drake would take a step back after all the chaos, right? Wrong. Word is, he's not letting up. Apparently, he's got another diss track in the works aimed straight at Kendrick, and to make things even wilder, he's reportedly planning to drag the Grammys to court too. It's like he's ignoring every red flag in this situation. If he won't take the L, he should at least take the lesson. By now, it's no secret. Kendrick is not someone you want to challenge in a rap war, but Drake, he's out here pretending like that fact doesn't apply to him. And the heat is coming from all directions now, not just from Kendrick, but from the Grammys and UMG at the same time. There are rumors floating around that Drake has been blacklisted, and let's just say, things aren't looking good for him. He's digging himself into a deeper hole, stacking up problems faster than he can handle, which is probably why we're now hearing that he's trying to make amends with Kendrick. He knows he's outmatched, and even though he's at the top of the game, going against UMG is a different kind of battle. Because at the end of the day, they have the kind of power he could never compete with. If they really wanted to, they could shut him down effortlessly, and not even his most loyal fans could stop it. Yet Drake still made sure to send a message. At his first show after the Grammys, he walked out in a hoodie full of bullet holes with smoke coming off of it. Everyone knew Kendrick had already torched him, and this just made it even clearer that he might be ready to wave the white flag. And Kendrick, he might be over it too, or maybe not. In a recent interview, Kendrick brushed it off, saying it was all just part of the sport.
I think from day one was to always keep the nature of it as a sport. You know, I don't care how much people look at it as far as like as a collaborative effort. You know, that's cool too. But I love when artists grit their teeth. Like I still watch battle raps. I still watch Smack URL from Murder Mook to Lux to Tay-Rock. You know, my bro Daylight. This has always been the core definition of who I am, and it's been that way since day one. So I don't think it was a thing for this year. It was always just a continuum. And what I will say about this year, it was more from a space where I think a lot of people was putting rap to the back, and you didn't see that.
So what's the verdict? Is this beef really over, or is there more to come? Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next one. See you soon.